And I wanted to give a big shout out. So I'm not sponsored, I'm paying full price for this, but Cusco Travel Agency, their banner should be on the screen right now. I'm gonna let Jordan tell us a little bit about it, but all the places we were able to get to were because of them. Private tours were available, we were able to get special access. We weren't fighting with the crowds, and we really appreciate that. Please check them out. And Jordan, let me know. What do you have to say about Cusco Travel?
Very nice to meet you guys. Well, first I'm Jordan, part of the staff of Cusco Travel Agency. We always be focused. Well, we are a local travel agency, and we always focus and give you the best experience as possible. We're really flexible. We create not only like experience in a travel, we create like lifetime experience. And if you come back with us, we want to make sure that you can create one of the most important like memories that you can get in this part of the country.
That's huge. And again, we're able to go places because of them. It's not just, hey, here's 20 minutes, here's this thing, go and look at it, and I'll see you in 20 minutes on the bus with another 100 people. This was just us, private tour, we went places. Last time I was here, we went to Machu Picchu, and it was incredible. So guys, check them out again. I'm not sponsored by them, I don't get a discount, I paid full price, but if you do, check them out and let them know that the Hillbilly Millionaire sent you over when you're booking, and maybe they'll give you something special in the future. So
yeah, if you come with a recommendation, we want to really appreciate it, and we want to receive you in this beautiful country.
All right, guys, back to the tour. All right, and here we are at Moray, and we are at an ancient Incan laboratory, which is incredible. We're about to go down into it, kind of walk around, but it's absolutely crazy. So I don't know if you guys can see all of that. We're gonna explain more about it. But as you see, this whole thing down there was all for the purpose of genetic selection, which is incredible. So we're gonna begin our descents down in there. We're joined with David and Jordan again. So we found David and Jordan, and we're gonna be descending into the pit. So where are we? What are we doing? Why are we here?
We are now in Moray, one of the most beautiful places that we have for agriculture. It was the main laboratory for agriculture that the Incas used for prove many things, that the technology those guys have, like the temperature that different terraces around here they have it. From the first terrace that we see down there in the bottom until the tallest one, that in total there are 11, there are like 10 different like Celsius degrees of changing. So how was the technology? How the Incas made that is still be a mystery. But we want to like walking through all those areas and see and understand better those places.
Let's get to it.
Perfect. So we are here at Moray, what's considered to be the largest laboratory of the Inca Empire, and this is an agricultural laboratory. This is a really special site. It was a scientific center, and specifically an agricultural center. As you can see, we have farming terraces here, and each of these terraces had a very specific purpose. The purpose of the terraces is to mimic different climate zones. So what they do is each of them is specific to a very specific geography. The Inca were able to create a microclimate for each of the regions in their empire, and were able to grow things that came from the furthest reaches of the empire that would not be native to this area, that would, for example, be native to the Amazon region, the rainforest region, the cloud forest regions here, in a way that it would not grow naturally here. So the way this system works is Moray consists of several different types of this bowl-shaped structures. And these are specifically designed in a way that they capture the heat of the sun, and they store that heat. As you can see, if you look at the bottom, the outer rings are constructed of rocks. And these rocks were very specifically chosen because they have an interesting property. They're able to retain heat, and as such, they can radiate that heat outward.
It's like a satellite dish.
So what happens is the lower you go, the warmer it gets. but also the Inca were able to utilize a technology that was developed by their ancestors, the Tiwanaku, in which they could create humidity as well. So the lower levels could have as much as 2 feet of humidity in addition to the heat. It could mimic the climate of the rainforest. So they were, for example, able to grow coca here. We know this because we've done soil samples. We know what was grown in each terraces, and we know they were specifically used to grow things that do not grow naturally in the Andes. They were able to grow tropical fruits. They were able to grow coca, as well as different types of potatoes and beans. So this was a place where agricultural experimentation could take place and then could be replicated in other places like Surite, for example.
Only Surite, most also of the archaeological sites that we have around all the Cusco area. Also all the Tahuantinsuyo, all the forages that the Incas have. Also we have to, addition to that, that the Incas know were the culture that discovered the technique of the terraces, but they want to develop and improve the technique. And in this laboratory, they made different kind of experiments in order to know which kind of plants they can put it in different kind of the in different types of the archaeological sites those guys have. Remember, in one archaeological site have to be like self-sustained, and they have to farming different kind of products, not only potatoes, not only corn. They have to farming also fruits, different kind of vegetables, and how they know if that thing could be possible is with experiments that they make here.
And the reason we know that this is a scientific center and not a productive agricultural center is because of the archaeology. So if you look, other than the terraces, you will see the remnants of some structures. Probably the one that you can see best is outside of the main circle there. These structures are not agricultural or industrial in nature. These structures are more domestic in nature. And there's more such structures on the other side of this hill. And these may have been used as lodging places, as places where the scientists, for lack of a, I mean, if the people who worked here, who experimented here, if they were doing this type of work today, we would call them agricultural engineers. So that's exactly what they were, is agricultural engineers. There is no processing buildings here. There is no, for example, colpas for the storage of food. This was not the purpose of this particular structure. The purpose of this particular structure was purely scientific.
The question I had is, right here, it looks like it goes all the way and just stops right there. Is that true for the experiments they were conducting?
So there is,
Or does it continue all the way up?
no, so you want the bowl itself. So it goes, so the terraces of Moray, so those are productive terraces up there. And they are archaeological in nature, but those are productive terraces. This area, however, had a different purpose. This area was built by the Inca so they could grow the goods, the rare plants, things like coca, things like some of the medicinal plants that come from the Amazon and the cloud forest, even things like some of the hallucinogenic plants that they use for religious and medicinal purposes.
Like floripondius, the angel trumpet, no? That we know it. Also, like different kind of fruits that you mentioned before. That is not possible to grow up at this elevation. We have to remember that we stay at more than 11,000 feet. How is possible to do farming, for example, here different types of like mangoes or passion fruit, but the Incas discovered the way that they can produce, because some archaeologists discovered some soil that is proper from less than 7,000 feet, more from the rainforest, more from the jungle. No?
Yeah, and the cloud forest. So they could grow the produce and the plants from the cloud forest and the jungle here.
As they're doing that, this is a lower part of the valley than, a lot lower than Cusco, right? And so then whatever is successful moves higher and higher and higher. And whatever they want to continue to try to grow elsewhere, they can continue pushing the experiment beyond its limits, which would then be a genetic selection for something that, hey, it can grow in an environment. This mimics the forest down below, the rainforest. Maybe up there, that's middle land, a transition era period. Now you genetically suppress.
I would say it's more like, think about it as different regions. The purpose, it's not necessarily that their goal is to figure out how to grow Amazonian medicinal plants and then move them somewhere else for mass production. What they're doing is they're experimenting with how they can create a microclimate that can grow something that does not naturally grow here. The purpose of this isn't to somehow export that for mass production somewhere else.
Is there a production type facility like this that would be for mass production?
Closest thing would be Surite, where it was also for it was an agricultural laboratory, but it was a productive agricultural laboratory.
Yeah. So we have one of the most biggest, and it's our next destination now. One of the most bigger terraces, and it's for me create like massive products.
Yeah. So what may have happened, and this is conjecture, is what experiments were conducted here and were deemed to be successful, could have been then carried out on a little bit larger scale at a site like Surite.
Well, we are still being Moray, and from here we can see a different perspective about like the different circle terraces that we have down here. So unfortunately, nowadays it's not possible to get inside to this place because we don't know the ancient technique that my ancestors used in order to rebuild or to maintain these areas. So we continue going down by the stairs that they have these terraces. We can create like erosion, and that we see in front of us, they want to create like most of the terraces going down. But we were walking from the middle, and part that we have access to here, and we can feel it like how the temperature changing because the multiple like climate levels that we have around here. When I was a child, I have the option to get inside to the first terraces that down there in the bottom, and was a little bit more humid and was a little bit more warm. So remember exactly we were like looking that we stay in 11,256 feet, and this is one of the highest like altitudes that the Incas made some buildings around all the Tahuantinsuyo. So probably for that reason they made all these constructions up here in the mountains to show like different kind of levels that they have through all the empire. Because they made different kind of constructions, not only in Cusco, not only in the Andes, they made also close to the coast, close to the beach, close to the Amazon. So with the technology that they develop here, they can like put or just like implant in their all own buildings. No?
And this isn't the only one. This is the only restored one. There's also one around the side, but this is a complex, right?
It's a complex, yes. We have another one in the right side, but there is no a lot of big mountain, and we can see there are more erosion in that area. The Peruvian government tried to make by the hands of the archaeologists to restore those areas, but unfortunately without the proper technique, the restore that we can make is not the best in here.
So they ran out of funding, so they couldn't restore the other side as well.
Not necessarily just the funding. We know that there's a specific formula that goes into creating these terraces, involving sand, gravel, topsoil, things like mulch, and unfortunately during the time of the Spanish conquest that was lost. So we don't know 100% how these worked.
Yeah, unfortunately the Incas never developed the writing, or maybe we don't understand which kind of like writing they have it in the past. And all the information that we have from different kind of buildings or archaeological sites we lost with the history because of the conquer of the Spanish people, or because just we lost with time.
Yeah, and about writing, so Jordan's right, they didn't develop writing in the way we understand it, but they did have a unique form of writing that's native to the Andes, the Quipu. It's actually the world's only three-dimensional form of writing that they used. Unfortunately, much like the secrets of building these very specialized terraces, the knowledge of how to read Quipu was lost after the conquest. So today, as an archaeologist, one of my favorite things to see when I come to the Andes is not the gold, the silver, and the things that most people want to see in museums, but my favorite thing to see are the Quipu, because I just look at them and I wonder, what does it say? And we can't decipher them. We don't have the equivalent of a Rosetta Stone, but we know they contain information.
So this was a series of places, not just one, right? What are we looking at here?
We are looking the second part of this archaeological site of Moray, but we can see like like all this area, the archaeologists here from Peru tried to restore it. But they made it. They made it in some parts that we can see it in the middle, but the restoration was proper for this size. So that's why the government just decided to make pillars of rocks next to, well, in the middle of the terraces and just leave like that.
So in the future, they could come back and restore it.
Well, if for us it will be possible to understand how the Incas made it, for sure we're gonna be able to restore these areas. But in the future, maybe the only thing that the Peruvian government wanna do is cut in the grass and just live like this.
It's in much more state of preservation than the Great Circle.
This circle on this side here is the big one. And this one was just better situation the whole time.
The whole time.
And so this is just degraded over time, and they didn't know what to do. So that's why they just made the stone. They said, we knew these rocks are important.
The function of it was the same. Now, also, the thing about the smaller circle, the lesser circle, is if you look, it's got a different elevation than the Great Circle.
Exactly.
Because it had a different agricultural purpose.
It's way lower than that. In fact, I would say that the top layer of that one is lower than
That's correct.
the lowest level here. So and then again, you have production terraces all the way up. The third circle is higher than the second circle, which is higher than the first circles. Those are the smallest. As they go higher, they're going smaller.
Also, as you can see, in poor state of preservation compared to the Great Circle. And behind the third circle is actually where we have some of the domestic buildings.
And then these are non-agriculture, but they are lodging and housing.
Or storage.
Bum, bum, ba-da-ba-ba-bum.